a camera and, looking at what we're doing, we want to be fairly wide. Something like a 24. And basically selecting camera, adding an image plane. And then just load the concept. Alright, so first up is matching camera. As I said, it's kind of a little tricky. You've got a few kind of points of reference. We know we're pretty close to the ground. That sets the idea. But yeah, you can see these are kind of a few stairs, and that's generally our height. So, I'm imagining, maybe we're like a meter off the ground, something like that. But yeah, and then you have some kind of perspective lines here, and then like a cross street here. It looks like this building is maybe kind of a little more forward than those ones, a little more towards camera. So basically, yeah, you just kind of start, moving this around. Just trying to get it. You can kind of use that line there. So that's ground level. Bring that down. Yeah. That kind of feels alright. One thing I always forget to do, I don't understand why it's not on by default. Maybe there's a way to turn it on by default, but movement options undoable for your camera. It's always very helpful. Because you start fiddling around and you realise you were closer to that move before or whatever. It just helps to be able to undo it. But say, you guessing that may be correct. So you could just start adding a cube to work it out. But really, we're just looking for these angles here to be right. So it's just a case of really fiddling around until you get it right. It can take a little while. I know these kind of terraces are quite thin. So it seems like our angle that way is quite good, but if I did kind of go off these front structures here, maybe I'll throw another one in next to it so you can see that. So it's not quite right there. This way you can just kind of play around. And this is what I was saying. This is where it doesn't need to be perfect, because really we're just trying to, get the basics right. That's looking better. Because at the moment we're just creating a master scene that we will use as a template. So, but just to show you the interactive modeler as part of the map painting toolkit, now you need to load your plugin. The demo will obviously say .demo on it. So that's initialized. That's great. So what you need to do, I mean, there's a little video on Vimeo how to set this up, but just quickly as an overview, go to your where is it? Lampshade. So you need to create a in my nodes project mix. So we want to add a version of our concept as a projection, as perspective, filter type off. Always turn your filtering off. I mean, why I always do. It just makes it hard to visualize. Okay, so you load that. And then assign it, link it to your camera, which is I guess your at the moment it says our scene camera, our setup camera. Okay, so you've got that project cam, and then you create a surface shader, and then just connect project cam to the out color. You assign the surface shader to your selection. Should be in object mode. That should now have. Okay, allow it. And then you need to turn on your project mix node. Need to turn on interactive update, which means you can slide through the projection, but obviously you can't see it at the moment because our hardware texturing isn't high enough. So texture resolution on highest. There we go. So that interactive update means that, okay, so if it's off and you move the model, the projection slides. If you turn on you can then kind of slide it. There you go. So, it is great. It's a great tool for modeling, but as I said, it really is really sluggish on my computer with, I'm on a laptop and screen capturing at the same time. So, and it's not necessary for what we're doing here. But, in other cases, it's a very, very handy tool. Anyway, so going back to that, I'll just assign the Lambert. Just make this quicker. Okay, so anyway, basically, if you're kind of happy with that, whatever, we'll dupe that, give it another one, try and line up this one. Okay, so you can see, our camera isn't quite right. Now if I slide that up there, it's not too bad. And as I said, you're never going to get it perfect. It'll do for what we're trying to do here. So as I said, basically, all I want to do here is kind of, I guess, map out our scene. So we know what we're kind of, what buildings we have. So maybe that one goes further up. And it seems like we have this one here. It's kind of on an angle. And it looks a bit lower. You can see from there. Yeah, and then I've kind of got a few background ones, but that brings me to the next point that, we have all this stuff here, just blocked out shapes, but as soon as we do a camera move, we're going to see more of, or we're not going to, we're going to need to be able to see more. So, it's a good point now is to, I guess, look at it from a point of view of previous. Yeah. So, we've just got these block shapes to give us an indication of where our structures are, and we're going to need to basically do the camera move and then look at, from the point of the camera move, look at what else we're going to need to see. And, I think I mentioned last week talking about seeing, more of the city behind, and whether we're on a hill and looking down into a valley or something. But, if we select our camera, and then I'm just going to do this really roughly for now. So we've got camera 2. Just go to camera 2. Call it rough move. So, say the drawing is our starting point. Key that. Oh, okay, that's right. And we'll go there, and and what I really wanted to do here is really push, to some degree, the projection system. So we want to be able to move around, reveal another face of the building and just kind of push it to some degree. But, we don't also want to do a crazy, ridiculous camera move that you would never see in a movie anyway, unless it's, unless it's like the start of Sherlock Holmes, I guess, where, that's, the intro to films are usually, they can be, I guess, quite extreme. But, that's more of a, I guess, more of a normal kind of camera move. But you can see, we're moving around this kind of pub here. So we'll see, so we'll have to have, our base projections here, and then more, say we're going to take each building separately, but, you'll have your base projections, then, a whole new set for here, because you're completely revealing something different. But beyond that, you're seeing over the top of it. So, we may see more buildings here, down here, depending on what we see over. I kind of like that we're moving in front of this building on the right. It'll give us a nice kind of sweeping foreground. But, as I said, it's just a rough, I'll do a lot more work. Oh, whoops, 24 frames is a bit quick. But, we really want a nice kind of, a little bit of the jib arm wobble and, just a much more realistic camera move, because that's really the trick. I mean, any 3D, obviously, the more realistic the camera move, the more chances the whole shot's going to look realistic. So,